I got a very liberal degree from a very liberal university. It was my first formalized introduction into what is now the conversation around relativity and whether or not there's absolute truth. And what I noticed at the time, and what I've noticed now, even more so, is a binary sort of misunderstanding around the concept of relativity, where what we were taught, or what I was taught, is the idea that because there is relativity in understanding, therefore all perspectives, all understandings, all truths are completely equal. And because it's presented in a falsehood, the response is that no, only objective reality can have any sort of truth. Only anything objectively empirical can be reliable, and so it's basically the top-down objectivity. And so you have this sort of double negative argument happening. And what I wanted to clear up was the idea of understanding through relativity. And first, let's start with the etymology of the word relativity. To say that truth is relative, what does that mean? Where does the word relative come from? Well, it's super familiar. We all have relatives. Your parents, your siblings, they're all relatives. They're people related to you. So what we say when we're saying that somehow truth or understanding is relative is that it exists and is found in relationship. Once we get there, it's actually really easy to get to empirically verifiable facts and statements and navigate the world. And in fact, through relationship is the only way we establish any kind of truth. It's the only way we establish anything reliable or anything structural or anything believable. The simplest relationship exists between 2 points. Once we get to the idea of two things being in relationship to each other, well, now we have the yin-yang working together, right? You have positive and negative working together. You've created duality. And once we get to a basic duality, you can build out from there. And duality is the fundamental way that we understand everything, whether people want to admit it or not, whether people are aware of it or not. It's the first sort of structural component to how our mind works, is to recognize the binary sort of oscillation that happens in all of this reality we're navigating, whatever you want to call it. It all exists in the context of relationship. What's the simplest form of a sentence? The simplest kind of sentence that we can make in the English language. I can only speak English. The simplest way we can structure a sentence is just noun and verb. Even if you want to make a command sentence and there's an understood you, there's still a subject, right? There's still a noun and a verb. There is a being and a doing. There is position and there is motion. Position and motion is how we understand electrons, right? We can either understand where it is or where it's going. If you have X and Y on a graph, let's say X is 10, Y could go up to positive infinity or negative infinity. So you need both. You need X and Y to draw a new line across that axis. All types of mathematics, right? Plus, minus, multiply, divide. I wasn't super great at math, but it's all about a relationship between two numbers or two values, two variables. You're putting them together. How do these things relate and get you something else, right? E equals mc squared. That's about the relationship between matter and energy. Life is about, at least at the human level, it's about the harmony between male and female, because that's how more people come about, right? Everything in a civilization is downstream from how healthy the males and the females, the men and the women, are getting along, because that's what creates the stability for the future generations. Everything is working in this form of duality. And that's why a healthy mindset will allow you to see that even people who oppose you, maybe adversarially, they're not your enemies. They might be your opponents, but putting two things in contrast together enhances both of them. You think about if you take two sticks or two playing cards or something of that nature and you lean them against each other, individually neither can stand, but you put them together and now that opposing force, you're able to get some structure out of it. Even if you want to take it all the way to the beginning, right? Why did God make us? In the Christian sense, why did God make us? God made us to have a relationship with us. It's all about these two things happening in conversation with one another. And so this sort of neutralize everything, water everything down, negate everything to where all perspectives, all realities are equal, that doesn't work. And also top-down obedience doctrine doesn't work either, because that's not a relationship. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? Action and reaction. It's a relationship between what is happening and the result of whatever you're doing. But rationality, at the simplest level, the simplest way I understand it is just being able to draw consistent cause-effect relationships between what you're doing, what's going into an experiment, what you're building, what you're creating, and the outcome you're getting, right? Can I draw a relationship between what I do in the gym and the way I feel or look or behave later? Can I draw a relationship between my efforts in work and the outcomes that are produced? Can I draw, a cause-effect relationship between the things I'm saying and doing in a partnership or a friendship and the resulting actions that I get from that, the resulting reality that it creates? Everything in life is going to come back to that duality. It's going to come back to that contrast. Remember that from your perspective, even if there is that oppositional perspective, if you can have the intellectual humility and the mental humility to say, okay, this person may have something I can't see. They're bringing a perspective I don't have. And I can be confident in my strengths, and I can be humble in my blind spots and humble in my shortcomings and open to what this opposing viewpoint or opposing belief or ideal or perspective or vision for what the plan should be. If I can be open to that, then they will actually enhance one another and work together, and they will both be better for it.